Okay.
Ready?
Okay, I'm going to call to order this special meeting of the Board of Equalization Friday, March 29th. It's 9:30 a.m. All three of us are present. Eleanor Thompson, Chairman. Mr. Brett Town.
Here.
Ms. Teresa Seller.
Present.
Okay, so we've got quite a bit to deal with today. First item on the agenda is possible action regarding the minutes of March 15th, March 18th, and March 20th, 2024. Is there a motion?
I move approval of the March 15th, March 18th, March 20th, 2024 minutes.
Are those the correct dates? Are we approving from last week then and not this week?
Right.
Okay, then I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, we've got a big decision day here. Item 2 on the agenda is BOE number 91, account 109-89-1310. We have the assessor at 133.5 and the property owner at 145,300.
Is it 091?
It's 13. Yeah, BOE 91. Yes.
I showed the assessor was at 163.5 and the taxpayer's asking for 145.3.
Yes. Which property he bought for $152,790 in 2022.
Correct.
During that time, just county averages had increased 30.28%. So I remember this had the taxpayers' comps were far out. The assessors' comps were much closer. So I move on BOE number 2 that we accept or that we set the fair market value of this property at $163,500.
Okay, I'm going to modify your motion to BOE 91, item 2 on the
91.
agenda.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
And I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we set the value at $163,500. Item 3 on the agenda is BOE number 92. The assessor was at $258,500 and the taxpayer was at $234,850.
And they later modified that to 242.
Okay. Okay, so they're 16,000 apart, and this sold for $233 in February of 22. I've got his comps were too far away. The assessor used the first and third comps, and the median was 260,625. Okay. I didn't see any reason to deviate from the assessor's value on this one.
Yeah, I didn't either. Same issue with proximity. So I didn't see any, and as Brent mentioned on the one earlier as well, with the sale date and the increases, that didn't justify it either. So I'll make a motion that we set the value on BOE 92 to $258,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item on the agenda is BOE number 93. And this is, I want to call this Julie's, and you said it's Jules Trail Edmond. Okay, so the assessor was at $324,500 with a median of his comps of $352,350, and the property owner was at $278,600, but he came up to $315,000. So we're $9,500 apart.
On this property, the median of the assessor's comps was $352,050. All were 2023 sales, much closer to the property in question than the taxpayers' comps. I don't see any reason not to accept the assessor's stated value.
I agree.
So therefore, on BOE number 93, I move that we set the fair market value of this property at $324,500.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, item 5, is BOE number 94. We weren't that far apart on this one. The assessor was at 200,500, and the property owner started out at 197.7, but he said that one of the comps would support a value of 200,500. So we really didn't disagree in the end, did he? You have those? Does anybody?
I didn't have that last note.
Okay. Well, they're only 3,000 apart, and the median was 201,159. So the assessor is under this median. So I didn't deviate from the assessor.
Yeah, I didn't either. The median, the assessor median was 201,159, and I didn't see any reason to disagree with the 200,500. So I'll make a motion on BOE 94 to set the value at 200,500.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The next item on the agenda is BOE number 95, another Jules Trail address. The assessor was at 261,000, under the median of 267,460. We've got far-away comps. Again, this was bought for 220 in 2021, and the property owner wants 224,850.
On this property, the assessor is below his median of 267.4. Again, I think he has better comps closer to the property in question. I didn't have any problem with the assessor valuation of 261.
I agree.
So on BOE number 95, I moved to set the fair market value of this property at $261,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is BOE number 96. The assessor is at 273,500, under his median of 285,210. The property owner was at 268,350. We've got the comps have an average age of 23, and the age of the property is 32 years. This property was purchased for $253,000 1 year and 9 months prior. So he's under the 30% increase.
I'm sorry, who was? What was
The
the last part?
268,350. His increase is not sufficient from the 1 year and 9 months is what I meant to say.
Okay, so you're not agreeing with the taxpayers?
No.
Okay.
What did you think?
I thought the assessor's valuation was better. They're really close on their ask on this. I did look at the detail on the valuation sheet, how that was calculated, and there was an adjustment for this house being 32 years old and the comps being 23, so I felt comfortable with the assessor's calculations.
I agree.
Okay.
I'll make a motion on BOE 96 to set the cash value at $273,500.
All in favor? Aye.
Second.
Oh,
I will second that. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
all in favor?
Aye. Good job.
Okay, so BOE number 96 is set at 273.5. Okay, the next item on the agenda is BOE number 97. The assessor is at 226,500. It had 3 comps. The median was 228,588. The property owner said he was embarrassed at the suggestion that the property would be worth 175,050. That's what I wrote down, embarrassed. So,
Right, because that is lower than their sales, than their purchase price in November of 21, it's like 183,000.
right.
With that and, the comps, I still believe that the assessor's valuation of 226,500 is fair market value in this instance.
So this one I had actually a little bit different take on, because I showed the average, and I want to get your thoughts on it. The average of the assessor's comps was 220,555,000, which is less than the recommended 226,500. They only had 3 comps. They were all 2023 comps, but it was 234,600, 198,300, and 228,500. And so the average came out to 220,555.
Okay, so they're above their average. So where am I getting the median of 228,588?
So there were 3 comps, and the middle comp is the 228, yeah.
Okay.
And I thought perhaps because it's only 3 comps, it might make more sense to do the average versus the median. I don't know. What do you think?
That's you can do that. I would support you on that.
Okay. So then I will make a recommendation on BOE 97 that we set the cash value at 220,555.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So BOE 97 is set at 220,555. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 9 on the agenda. BOE number 98. The assessor has it on for 274,500. The median was 272,987. Average age 29 of the comps, 28 of the house. The property owner asked that the value be set at 256,650. Was purchased 2 years almost exactly, December of 21 for 245,000. Okay. And we have one where the price is set above the median, but the square footage price is $134.36, which is about in line with the price per square foot of the area.
Let's see, this is Twin Oaks, it's Santa Fe and
Teresa, you want to take the median since the median?
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. We've got 6 comps on it, and the average is not that much lower. And I will say that the taxpayer comps that they provided, there was really only 2 comps that were even worth looking at, and they were either right at a mile or over a mile, and so I didn't see any reason to use that justification either. So I'm fine with the 274,500.
The 274,500 or the 272?
rather than the median.
Oh.
The median is 272,987.
Oh, I'm fine with the median, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to move on BOE number 98 that we set the fair market value at $272,987.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the next item is item 10 on the agenda, which is BOE number 99. The assessor's asking for fair market value setting of $318,500. The property owner is asking for $287,000. This was bought a long time ago in 1990. No, sorry.
Yeah,
It's
2022.
sold in 2022
Yeah.
of 275,500.
I have 318,500.
I think this is another
Oh,
one of
no,
the
you're right,
ones.
yeah.
The assessor's valuation is 318.5.
Yeah, in 2022.
Yeah, he did not offer, I don't believe, an alternate value to their 287,000. And again, there's been 2 whole tax years since then. That's a $12,000 increase.
And the median was 344,903, so the assessor's well under the median.
This
price.
is I think when they pulled it up originally, you saw it was just it's a pull in, kind of pull out neighborhood. Houses on each side, probably 18 homes in this area. And there is I've been in this neighborhood recently, and there's a big difference in the size and quality of houses through here. Right? There could be $100,000 difference from one end to the other. So that's one reason why you have a higher median.
Okay.
Well, and I can say even looking at the comps that the taxpayer provided, pulling in the 6 comps, and then I just put a 5% uplift on it because we know that the assessor's adjustments are different than the adjustments that Ryan was doing. So I just put a 5% uplift on it, and it came out higher than the assessor's evaluation. So I'm fine with the assessor's valuation of 318.5.
I agree.
Motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion on BOE 99 to set the cash value at 318,500.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. The next item is item 11 on the agenda, which is BOE number 100. The assessor is at 319,500. His median is 332,793. The taxpayer had a sale on March of 22. I've got 301,500, and he offered no evidence on this one.
And their valuation is $25,000 less than that, less than the purchase price.
Right.
Solid comps by the assessor's office. This is below the median of 332,793. I'm comfortable with the assessor's valuation of the fair market value.
I agree.
So on BOE number 100, I move to set the fair market value of this property at $319,500.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on item 12 on the agenda, BOE number 101, the assessor is asking for a valuation setting of $244,000. The median on his comps was $258,838, so substantially below that. Taxpayer is asking for $181,500, having purchased the property, however, February of 22 for $184,604. This was a 10 property batch.
On this property, the taxpayer provided no comps that we could look at because they were all out of the county. Therefore, we have to rely almost entirely on the assessor's valuation.
Yeah, the only thing I'm not sure about on this one is we showed that it was an unqualified sale, so never mind, that's why I didn't do it. Okay, so I'm fine with the 244,000.
So I'd like to move on BOE number 101 that we set the fair market value of this property at $244,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 13 on the agenda is BOE number 102. The assessor was asking that we set the value at $315,000. The property owner is requesting $278,000. This property is 35 years old. The comps were 37 with a mean average of $332,532. So the assessor is $17,000 under his median valuation of his comps.
Yeah, they were all 2023 comps. I think the assessor's value is fair at $315,000.
Anyone make a motion?
I'll make a motion on BOE 102 that we set the value at $315,000.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we go to items we get on Tuesday. The next item on the agenda is item 14, BOE number 103. The property owner was disputing the effective age designation by the assessor. The assessor is asking for a value of $303,500. Median value of his comps, $300,757. I think the property owner first asked for $285,600, but then came up to $294,000. So it's the difference of $294,000 versus $303,500.
Correct. I believe the issue that the taxpayer had on this one was the land square footage.
That's
Yeah.
It wasn't, and I had 297. Did I write that wrong? Damn wrong.
that he came up to.
I had 294.
Okay, 294. I'd like for us to consider possibly using the assessor's median on this.
I agree.
All right.
All right. So in referencing BOE number 103, I move to set the fair market value of this property at $300,757.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Set BOE 103 at $300,757. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item number 15, BOE 104. The assessor is asking for $199,000. It's 3 comps. Had a median of 198,346. The taxpayer is asking for a valuation setting of $172,500. Property was purchased 2 years prior at $174,000.
I had a question mark on that with another
180.
figure.
180.
That the sale might have actually been $164,240. I can look that up and see.
Well, I actually kind of had a different take on this one. I got a little creative. And I will say that the taxpayer did say that he would settle for 180, but I was a little concerned because it was only 3 comps and they were 2022 comps, and we didn't have any taxpayer comps to consider. So I decided to go out and look to see what the assessor valued it at last year, and he had it valued at $173,000. So if I take the 6% or so increase over the last year, that puts the value at $184,757. Now, the taxpayer did not present that argument, so I don't know whether or not we can consider that.
Yes, you can.
We can? Okay. But I was just concerned because of the 2022 comps. Those are pretty old, and looking at what the valuation was set. Although the odd thing is that it was valued less than what it sold for in 2021 at $174,000, which I thought was odd.
This is when he made the argument that if there are no sales, then you do not raise the price.
Yeah, and I didn't agree with that argument.
Right.
But I am somewhat concerned that the value was set at $173,000 last year.
Okay.
But I think, and I can accept that, $184,687.
757.
757, yeah.
757.
Okay. You want to make a motion to it?
So I'll make a motion on BOE 104 to set the value at $184,757.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. It's the 104 is set at $184,757. Next item on the agenda is item 16, BOE number 105. Okay, got several figures here. So $199,500 is what the assessor is asking. The year before it was $173,500. It sold in September of 21 for $164,420. The taxpayer started at $172,400 and then said that he could accept $184,000.
So I did the same thing on this one because, again, it was primarily 2022 comps. and the value was set at 173.5 in 2023. So with the percent adjustments, that brings the value to 185,291 based off of that same calculation. And I did show that the taxpayer said he would accept a 184, but I think maybe a 185,291 might be a more fair adjustment. 185,291. So I'll make a motion to set the cash value on BOE 105 to 185,291.
If you disagree, you can say.
Well, I'm checking something out real quick because I had another type of calculation where I just did the average between the 73 value, the 2023 value of 173 with a 13.5% increase, which would
so
be.
I did the 6%. Was the 2024, right?
Well, the 23 value, let me see when that was. It's 9 of 21. Okay, so 23, 24. Okay, it would have only been 6.796. Okay, so I'll accept your value. I'll second that motion.
All right. There's a motion on the table to set the value of BOE number 105 at 185,291. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Yeah, I did have that one to look at though for some reason.
Okay.
Okay. So just to reiterate, 105 BOE 105 set at 185,291. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is BOE number 106, which is item 17.
We had agreement.
And we had an agreement. It is set at 228,000. All right, the next item then is BOE 107, which is item 18 on the agenda. The assessor is requesting 201,500. The median of the three comps is 209,392. Plaintiff's comp number 6, only one was valid. You've got 18 years for the comps and 17 years for the property. The property owner, this sold in 22 for 157,500, and they're asking 192,000. So we're just a difference between 192,000 and 201,500.
Yeah, so they were all 2023 comps, but there were only 3 of them. I'm leaning towards agreeing with the assessor's valuation at 201,500, although I did run that same math because I was kind of on a roll. It did value last year, 2023, at 174,000.
Yes.
Which, again, at that 6.7%, it brings it to 185,875. But I lean more towards using the comps rather than, the only reason why I used those, the value of it from last year was because it was 2022 comps, and I didn't feel comfortable using those comps. I feel comfortable with the 2023 comps.
And it was originally a multi-property sale, which probably diluted the original value. They were building up from that point. So I did have some question on this. I can support what you're saying, though.
201,500. Okay. So then I will make a motion on BOE 107 to set the value at 201,500.
Second.
Yes, second, please.
All in favor? Aye. All right. The next item on the agenda, number 19, is BOE 108. It's on Fry Lane. It sold in November of 21 for 168,000. The property owner is asking for 193,000 valuation. The assessor is at 205,500 with a median of 203,967. So we're slightly above the median, which when you get a median, some are up and some are down.
Yeah, as I looked at this one, I was a little concerned about the taxpayers' comps. It seemed to be they were just being pretty selective in what they were choosing to put. I think the assessor's
246.
office comps were closer in to the property. Therefore, I think they were a little bit more valid.
Yeah, I agree. All of the assessor's comps were less than 0.3 miles, whereas the taxpayer comps were, especially a couple of them were over a mile. Some of them were smaller, but even when I do the math on theirs, the comps of theirs that were valid, even with the ones that were over a mile,
The 246.
and a 5% uplift that's higher than what the assessor proposed. So I think the only question here is whether we move to the median or go with the original value of the 2055 or do the 203697. I can tell you the average of the assessor's comps is actually 202128, but it is 6 comps, so I'm fine with using the median.
Okay, I can support the median. So I would, on referencing BOE number 108, I move to set the fair market value of this property at $204,550.
She was
That's
doing the median, which is 203,967.
697, correct.
I have 967. What do you have? 967. Okay.
For some reason, I wrote down 204,550 as the median. So
I have that down here as well, but I didn't know what. But okay, so this was probably the difference between the median and the.
Oh, you're right. It's 204,550 is what
Okay.
I show as the median as well. I just
Okay.
I wrote it down wrong.
So I've completed my motion then.
And I will second that motion.
Well, now what was it?
204,550.
Okay, give me a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so BOE 108 is set at $204,550. All right, the next item on the agenda is BOE number 109, and I have that we already agreed.
Correct.
$295,000. Okay. Next item is BOE number 110. The assessor is asking for $359,500. The taxpayer is asking for $349,700. They bought this for $300,000.
We have an agreement
Yeah,
on
I
this
have
one
three-
for 355.
Oh, I do have set right there, $355,000, right?
300.
55.
$55,000, okay, so
Yes.
BOE number 8 is BOE number 110 previously set at $355,000, sorry, that's right. Item 22 on the agenda is BOE number 111. The assessor is asking for $370,500. There was a sale in October of 21 of $328,800. So they're now asking for less than that of $310,850. There's 3 comps on this. We thought his were too far. No, he thought ours had too many adjustments. We used his comps 1, 2, and 10. The median by the assessor is $367,758, which is slightly above his median.
I think the taxpayer set a new value of $350,500 on
I
this.
do have that there, right. So we're between $350,500 and $370,500.
Correct.
Okay, it's
So this one, the assessor's comps, one of the comps was in 2022 and it was only 3 comps. So I went ahead and ran that number based off of what the value was set at last year. The value of 2023 was set at $360,000. And with the 6.7% uplift, it brings it to $384,000. So that tells me that the assessor's valuation of $370,500 is a good valuation.
okay.
So are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion on BOE 111 to set the value at $370,500.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, next item is BOE number 112. The assessor has it set at $218,000. The taxpayers or owner is requesting $192,000. Then it's 3 sales and I've got 205, so I guess he adjusted for, and said that he could live with 205,000 valuation.
Correct.
Okay, so the comps, the median for the comps was 231,205, so the assessor is well below his median.
Yeah, and I did the same math on this one just because it was 3 comps and the value was set in 2023 at 218,000. So with the uplift, it's more than fair, I think.
Right. Basically, it's freezing at
Freezing.
Yeah.
2,000.
218,000.
Yeah.
All right. So on BOE number 112, I move to set the fair market value of this property at $218,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, BOE number 113, which is item 24 on the agenda. The assessor is asking for a setting of 326,000. The 3 comp median was 325,971. The property owner is asking for 316,650. This sold in November of 21 for 296,990.
And I believe he modified that request to 321,500.
There it is.
That was an increase.
Correct. So this one, there were only 3 comps. They were 2023 comps, but the assessor only had 3 comps. And I show the average of the 3 comps is 322,173. And to my argument that I used earlier, since there's only 3 comps, it might be fairer to use the average rather than the median.
What was the average again?
322,173.
Okay, I can support that.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 113 to set the fair market value at 322,173.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so BOE 113 is set at 322,173. Okay, the next item 25 on the agenda is BOE number 114. The assessor is asking for 220,000, and the 2 previous years it froze at 177,500. The median was 231,760. We have this as an invalid sale in August of 2022. The property owner is asking for 182,400. So we're kind of far apart here.
The assessor is below the median significantly. Did you have an average on this one?
Yeah, the average was 230.
Okay.
So yeah, he was below the average as well. The only thing on this one is 3 comps. Again, that based off the 2023 value, 177.5. The adjusted value then is 189.5. But they're pretty good. They're 3 comps, but one of them's a November comp, a September, so they're fairly recent for 2023. So I'm leaning more towards going with using the comps.
I agree.
Rather than the
Average.
the valuation with the percent increase, because that percent increase is,
Do we know what the taxpayer originally paid for this?
Well, we called it invalid, so I didn't write down.
which
It was
one
probably a
it?
back sale. 114.
14.
Yeah, we didn't have any notes.
I'm just checking just to make sure.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
Because I want to feel good that they possibly it was undervalued originally when they turned it in on a batch sale. But again, we don't have their information, so I'm going to go with the assessor on this one.
Okay.
So move on BOE number 114. We set the fair market value of this property at $220,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 26 on the agenda is BOE 115. 15, and I have it's already been set. Did we agree on this?
Yes,
one?
we agreed on
Yeah.
it.
Okay, well, I was set at 133,500. Okay, next item on the agenda is the 27 is BOE 117. The assessor's requesting a valuation of 125,000. The property owner is requesting a value of 105,400, which is crazy. The 21 sale was 124,703
I show he adjusted that to
to
120,000.
120, so which is 5,000 apart. The median was 100 and there were 6 comps, and the median was 131,000. So the assessor's below the median.
The average is 132, so the assessor's below that as well as the valuation from last year with the markup, percent markup. So I'm fine with the assessor's valuation at 125,000.
I agree that the $120,000 suggested by the taxpayer is below the purchase price 3 years earlier. So I'd like to move on BOE number 117 that we set the fair market value at $125,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 28 on the agenda is BOE number 118. This was the batch sale I'm showing. The median on the comps for the assessor was 131,000. He's asking for a valuation of 125,500, and the property owner is asking for a valuation of 113,150.
So on this one, the assessor's comps were all less than a half a mile away. They were all 2023 comps. There were 6 comps. The average is 133.7. The taxpayer comps provided, there were 30 comps. All but 2 of them were more than 5 miles away. The only thing in question here, again, is the valuation from last year. For some reason, it was valued last year at 111.5.
Yeah.
But I think that was because it was the sale was only 95.8 in 2021, so that probably affected. But I suspect that was an unqualified sale. So I'm fine with the assessor's valuation at 125.5.
I concur.
So I will make a motion on BOE 118 to set the fair market value at 125,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is item 29, BOE 119. The assessor is requesting a valuation of 233,500. There's a 6 comp median of 235.8, so he's under that. The taxpayer is requesting, property owner rather, 221,350.
So I show assessor had 6 comps, all 2023, and all but 1 less than a half a mile away. The taxpayer provided 6 comps, and all but 1 were more than 5 miles away. A couple of them were 2024 comps that we couldn't consider either. The average of the assessor's comps is 235,000, and even looking at the valuation from last year with the increase, it comes in at 236. So I think the assessor's valuation of 233.5 is more than fair.
Motion.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 119 to set the fair market value at 233,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 30 on the agenda is BOE number 120. The assessor is requesting a valuation setting of 187,500. Previous year valuation was 157.8, and the previous year that was 157.5. The property owner is requesting a valuation of $159,050. And there was a sheriff's in the state sale that he used on some comps
Right.
that pulled him this low.
I think there were maybe 4 unqualified comps in this altogether. They said they were 26 qualified, but the median price on those
Was
192,000. So
And they were all all but one were more than 5 miles away.
Exactly.
Yeah, the assessor's comps are 2023 and they're all 0.1 something miles away, so they're much closer. My only concern on this one is that it was only 3 comps from the assessor, and although they average at 202, value from last year was 157.5, which is pretty low. I suspect it's impacted by the 2021 purchase, which again may have been an unqualified sale. So I'm teetering on this one. I don't know. I don't know, Brett, if you got any
What did
thoughts
your
on it?
6% get?
The 6% got it to 168,204.
I just feel like that's
Too low.
too low a value compared to the comps. I mean,
I agree.
187,000 assessor valuation versus the median price of 198,000. Rarely would I raise the assessor's valuation, but in this case, I feel like the 187,000 is fair.
I agree.
You just to tell you, Teresa, we can raise it.
Oh, you can?
We
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, we have that ability. It's what we say.
Yeah.
Okay.
So on BOE number 120, I move that we set the fair market value of this property at 187,500.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that was
That was a little tricky.
192 on using their comps.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to BOE number 121, which is item 31 on the agenda. The assessor is requesting a valuation of $202,000. It was bought in a long time ago, 2014, for $167,225, and they are asking for $145,800. So we've got 1, 3, and 19 were invalid of his comps. 2 and 18 were 24 sales. The assessor's median on his comps was $211,043. So his requested value is well below his median.
He had one qualified comp,
One
which was 1.5 miles away.
Right.
This is a tricky neighborhood. Just to tell you the truth, it's one of the older neighborhoods in Edmond, smaller homes, but comps are comps in this case.
Yeah, I agree. The assessor's comps were all 2023. They're all less, well, except for one, they're all less than a half a mile away, and the one that's not is just barely over a half a mile away. The value of the property from 2023 was $190,000, which with the 6% uplift takes it to 202.9. And the average comes in of the comps was 210, so I think the 202,000 is fair.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 121 to set the fair market value at $202,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this brings us to let's see, 22. Item 32 on the agenda, BOE number 122. The assessor is requesting a valuation of $201,000. His median on his comps was $210,128. The property owner was back at the taxable value rather than the fair market value. And he's requesting a valuation of $109,250. And this was purchased in 2014 for $142,106. So he's even way under his purchase price. I have that he has invalid. His 1, 2, 18, and 22 were invalid. His comp 7 was a 2024, and the only one that was valid was a March of 23.
Yeah, finally showed that he only had one valid comp, and that was 1.76 miles away. So, and that valued for more than what he's asking to be set at, but not quite what the assessor set it at, but you're not going to use one comp. I think the assessor's comps are fair. They're all 2023. There's 6 of them. They're all much less than even half a mile away, so they're clearly very, very close. And the 2023 value was set at 189.5, with the adjusted price puts it at 202. So I think the 201,000 that the assessor has set is fair.
I agree. If you get out of this neighborhood, it's a whole different ballpark. Homes are just they're either older on one on south of the road and they're newer on the north side and have higher value. So staying within the neighborhood is the most is the best way to come up with a qualified value. So I will move on BOE number 122 that we set the fair market value of this property at $201,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 33 on the agenda. This is one where we corrected the residential number. The assessor is requesting a valuation setting of $179,500. The property owner is asking for $164,950, though I have a $171,673 figure down here.
That was the taxpayer
Oh, okay.
value that he was using
Okay. So,
to dispute.
okay, and this was a purchase of $163,341 in May of 21, so 2 years, a year and a half prior. He only came up $1,000 on his valuation. The median for the comps was $179,677.
So this one I got a little creative on.
Okay.
The assessor's comps all looked good. They were 2023 and they're all less than a half a mile away. Again, looking at that 2023 valuation of that 163,000, rather than using the 6.7, I decided to look at what Larry gave us, what the assessor gave us the other day that showed the property value increases for that size of a house between 2022 and 2023 was 5% in Edmond. And so if I take that against last year's value, I get 174,611. It's creative, but I don't really know that I want to use that because the assessor's comps all look pretty good. I don't see any reason not to accept the assessor's comps, and the average of those come out to 183.1.
Well over what he's asking.
Yeah. So I don't, I just wanted to get creative just to see what would happen, but I don't know that I want to use that option. If it were 2022 comps that he provided or just 3 comps, then I might be willing to consider it, but his comps really look pretty good to me, so I'm good with the 179.5 that the assessor is recommending.
Okay.
So I will make a motion on BOE 123 to set the fair market value at 179.5.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 34 on the agenda is BOE number 124. Correction, 192,000 for the assessor and 158,900. The median was 194,197. And I have one valid comp was 195, comp one number 5 was 220,500. So the property owner's off a bit. What was Teresa, did you put down the 2023 valuation value?
Yeah, the 2023 was 182,000. So with the uptick on it, it brings it up to 194, which means that the assessor's valuation is more than fair. When I look at the taxpayers' comps, they're really questionable whether or not there's only one really that I thought might have been good was the first comp that was 0.38 miles away, but you can't do anything based off of a single comp. And the average of the assessor's comps is 194. So even if you rolled his one comp in there, it's going to bring it back to what the assessor recommended at 192.
There were some questions on the taxpayers' paperwork to me that this home was purchased in 2014 at $185,000.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
I just wondered where that came from. But anyway, I felt like the assessor's comps made this property in line with their valuation. So therefore, on BOE number 124, I Move that we set the fair market value of the property at $192,000.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that brings us to item 35 on the agenda, which is BOE 125. The assessor is requesting a valuation of $256,000. This property in 23 was valued at $240,500, and in 22 of $212,500. The property owner is requesting a valuation of $213,350. The assessor used, I don't know if this is number 4 or 4 of the taxpayers' comps, and the median value was $257,340. I think when you put in one of the taxpayers, it dropped to 256. Anyway, he said this, the assessor is at his median. Did you do the increases of 212 and 240?
Yeah, the 6.7 increase off the 240 comes to 256,844.
So he's under.
Assessor did, yeah, so the assessor came in with 238 median, but using the taxpayer comps, if I recall.
Were they solid? I didn't have a note on that.
He used, oh no, sorry, that was the taxpayer, the assessor,
Okay.
yeah. The assessor came in at 254,544 using the taxpayer comps, and he used 10, 12, 11, and 8.
That's so it used 4 of them. I had 4 there.
Yeah, so the assessor came in at 254,544 when he reran it using theirs, but he did also state that it was perhaps a less valued neighborhood. Because his comps, so 10, 12, 11, and 8, let me see if I have the distance on those. I don't, because those were not the comps that I pulled down from theirs. Do we want to try to pull that one up? What was it?
Well, irregardless, we're within $1,000
Of the median.
of the assessor's valuation
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
of 256. I'm comfortable with the assessor's valuation as a fair market value.
I am too.
I'm fine with it.
I'd like to move on BOE number 125, that we set the fair market value of this property at $256,000.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We go to item 36 on the agenda, which is BOE number 126. The assessor is requesting a valuation set at $237,000. The year before it was $219,000, and in 22 it was $209,000. The median of his comps was $238,204. The median of plaintiff's comps is $238,162. And the taxpayers, the property owners, requesting a valuation of $217,550.
So I show the taxpayer comps. He provided 6 comps, and all but one were more than 5 miles away. However, the average of the assessor's comps is 235.8. It is 6 comps though, and they're all but one is less than a half a mile away. When I did the 2023 valuation, it's to 2023 it was valued at $219,000 with a 6.7% uptick. It brings it to $233,833. So I'm hedging on this one as well. Let's see, the median was, what did you show?
$238,204.
I think I'm fine with using the median on this one because it's 6 comps, they're valid comps. it's not that big of a difference between the average and the valuation from last year. What do you guys think?
Well, then you'd be setting it higher than the
Higher than
assessor's
the-
value.
No, the 237. I
Okay.
mean, I think with the assessor's
Okay,
assessment at
gotcha.
237, I'm fine with that.
I can
Okay.
support that as well.
So then I will make a motion on BOE 126 that we set the fair market value at 237,000.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Item 37, the last one on the agenda, is BOE number 127. The assessor is requesting 242,000. In 23, it was 227,500, and in 23, it was 227,500. 22, it was 201,500. The median of the comps was 245,837. Property owner is requesting 220,300.
222,000.
222,300. Now somehow, okay, we have 10, 12, 11, and 8. His comps were too far away. Why do I have 254,544? I wonder if the assessor ran the comps of the. Of the-
assessor, we ran the comps 10, 12. Oh, so that
11
was the
and
one
8.
I was looking at, where we got the 254,544.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
so
it's still higher than his recommended value.
right.
So. Yeah, the taxpayer comps, he provided 11 comps and all, but one of them were more than 5 miles away. The average is higher, and then the uptick from the valuation from last year is higher. So I think the assessor's valuation of 242,000 is more than fair.
I agree.
So I'll make a motion on BOE 127 to set the fair market value at 242,000.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're all, any comments from the public now? Seeing none, so
I think we might
next,
have a board comment. Did you want to say something?
Me?
Yeah, have something on,
Remind me.
we were talking about possible things to do with agenda or providing us data.
Oh, sure. So, yeah, you know, we're very concerned with the fact that the taxpayer claim or what have you, that he didn't receive any of the documentation, and I know we're working on doing blind copying and what we can do, but I would ask the assessor's office to see whether or not we can set up a shared drive or something that perhaps you can load all of the documents up on and then just send them the link with access to it. You can password protect it. You could even do that for us, as a matter of fact. And it might be easier for you as well, rather than trying to draft and email all these different emails and hoping it goes through because it's so large. So you might talk to your IT people to see whether or not there is a secure share drive that they could set up that both taxpayers, your regular taxpayers are not going to be able to figure it out, but for companies like Orion, they're going to be able to figure that out. And then it would also be helpful to us. It may be a little easier, and it's certainly going to be easier for you because then you don't have to send out all those emails. All you got to do is send the link.
We're just asking you to look into it.
Yeah.
Just to see if there is a way to use technology so we're all seeing the same thing at the same time.
and how would the taxpayer upload his?
He could upload his on that share drive as well.
Okay.
It might be easier for you all even to look at the information they're providing, but that way at least there's no confusion of whether anybody got anything or not.
So as far as doing a share drive, that is something we can look at. It would be something that would be temporary. The information in there would probably be temporary. As far as that goes, but that is something we can look at. I can't make any guarantee
Right.
that's something that we can do, but I can talk to our IT staff and see about doing that.
And it probably only applies to people like this.
Correct, and it would only be you all
Right.
Right, and
that
for
would
us
have
as well.
access.
Right,
Right.
right.
Correct.
And the taxpayer.
Well, we were thinking perhaps using it for like Orion, right? When there's a whole bunch of them like that, because we've got all this issue about they didn't get it, and you know, and it,
The possible issue with maybe them having it might be a security thing. I'm not 1,000% sure on that. But I think that might be.
Sure, we're just asking you to talk to IT and see what's.
Yeah, see, there's a way that they can secure it, both either for us or for them for both. And then the other question that I had is there some reason that we can't do a Zoom call where, so that when people do dial in, they can have access to what the assessor is sharing on screen?
They are welcome to watch online. We only did Zoom, I don't even know that we did Zoom calls during the pandemic for this.
But you can't see the screen when you're online.
Yeah, that may be a legal question to ask our
Okay,
ADA,
okay.
because I know it changed and it changed back.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm just curious whether or not that was an option to consider. Okay, thank you.
Okay, now I tried to respond to all the emails yesterday. So let's just review for next week. We're gonna do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and we
And
We're
15 a day.
15 a day. Okay, and one day we've got two people that's not Ryan, right?
Right.
So he'll scream because when he heard 15, he thinks him, but I made it clear to him there were other people. So that day he gets 13, and the other one day there's one person, so he'll get 14 that day, and then one day he gets all 15.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not so much hearing 15 in a day, it's ruling on 45.
On Friday.
Try and figure out what that maximum is so we can do a fair job to the taxpayer and to
Yeah.
the assessor's office.
Well, and it's the research too,
The
right?
research
'Cause
we
there's-
have to
Prior
it's
to
a
the
little bit
meeting.
more homework than I thought it was gonna be.
So,
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't wait till we get here to hear stuff.
Yeah,
those comments that we should be doing, we should be hearing 40 or 60 a day, it's just not workable. I'll put that on the record right now.
Okay. You good with 15? Alrighty, so if that's it, I'll entertain